Hong Kong protesters raise $1.97 million United States dollars for international ad campaign starting 19 August.
Here's a summary of the article.
Covering their mouths with their hands, Yip and the two women made their way from the elevated platform to the street-level concourse, only to be shocked to discover that the police had fired tear gas into the station. The police action at the two stations came under fire from residents and rail unions, among others, and the MTR's operator urged police to consider the safety of passengers and staff. Protesters at the station were also tossing what the police called smoke cakes, which smolder and emit fumes. Senior Superintendent Kong Wing Cheung from the Police Public Relations Bureau insisted that officers were using minimum force when they fired tear gas into the station. Asked why the police did not just enter the station and arrest the protesters, without using tear gas, Kong said the officers would have had to climb over the MTR gates and the protesters could have attacked them. To Kwong Yan, chairman of the MTR Corporation Staff Union, said two train drivers felt unwell after the police fired tear gas into Kwai Fong Station, and one had to be hospitalized. Tam Kin Chu, vice chairman of the pro-government Hong Kong Federation of Railway Trade Unions, said many union members were terrified by the police action at the two stations and demanded the rail operator follow up with police to ensure staff and public safety.
This post received a score of 48,760, with an upvote ratio of 95%. Here are the top comments in response to this article.
Picture of each advert can be found here. Edit. Higher resolution of NY Times advert. Higher resolution of the Globe and Mail advert. The funds were collected via a GoFundMe page. On August 12, the target was exceeded after around 2 hours. I cannot say myself that I understand too deeply about politics in USA, UK, France, Spain, Philippines, Japan and other countries around the world. Thus going forward I must care and learn more about issues in other countries and do the same for you what many of you have done for me here in Hong Kong.
Money well spent, those look amazing.
Our toothless leaders in the West might love democracy, but they love money even more. No government is willing to go against China, because they want that sweet peasant blood fueling the Western economy. If our Western governments had any moral compass or intestinal fortitude, they would band together and force China to allow Hong Kong to separate and form their own government, with the alternative being China frozen out of the West's economy. Stay strong, HK. We're with you, even if our cowardly governments refuse to do the right thing.
What do you propose that Western governments do exactly when the single most powerful country in the world can't even agree on a trade deal with China? China is the only reason the entire world didn't go into a full-blown depression after 2008 and you suggest we could just freeze them out of the Western economy. That's just horribly unrealistic and naive. It would be more realistic to suggest that we go to war over HK, and we're not going to do that either. What's happening in HK is awful and the worldwide protests prove that, but let's not pretend that Western governments are refusing to do the right thing when what you advocate as being the right thing is utterly ridiculous.
See, the thing is, China can't let themselves get frozen out of the Western economy. Sure, everyone would take a sting, but China will get absolutely fucked if that ever came to fruition. China would eventually yield to strong coordinated economic sanctions, because their survival depends on it. The Western world does have the power to tell China to fuck off and stop their blatant human rights violations.
If you accept that everyone would take a sting, massive understatement, then sure, we're agreement. I'd just argue that sting would be more like a worldwide depression that would upend the entire world politically, economically, etc. If that's worth HK freedoms to you, then let's do it. Frankly, I think we need a dose of reality anyway to wean us off the teat of capitalism, so if HK freedoms is the excuse we need to start this transition, I'm all for it.
This video was automatically created by Reddit to speech. The article and comments in this video were selected from Reddit according to their upvotes, and any paraphrasing was performed by smmry.com, without any human intervention.